in that culture, from what I know, and I don't know too much, but I've heard like of Malcolm Gladwell's book Outliers, and he had this one really particular example. He says that because the culture of, say, in China is much more work orientated and much more disciplined in that regard, would you say like that kind of contributed to some of your work ethic down the line?
For sure, but my parents were both very hard workers, so I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. Like, there's always this argument between like nature and nurture.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of DNA that's natural and that plays a huge role. But having role models around you from an early age, I think, obviously has a significant impact on how you end up being. So like I think I was always very hardworking. Like my dad's one of the hardest working people I know. Like he'll wake up at 6 o'clock and he won't come home till like 6, 7 o'clock from work. Like he'll work 12-hour days.
And you were seeing that day in, day out, seeing him go out in the morning, or maybe not even seeing him at all, and then seeing him come back right at night.
Yeah, and so I was super young back then, and so that maybe didn't leave such a obvious impression on me until later on in my life when I look back on it. But I'm sure that's been imprinted on me in some way, right? And then so when I moved here, my dad had to go back to Hong Kong to work because he couldn't find work here. He's an aircraft engineer, but over here I think he didn't have the licensing,
Mm-hmm.
so like he wasn't an engineer anymore, right? So he couldn't find work to support us, so he went back to Hong Kong, like so many Hong Kong to Canada families do. And yeah, that was tough, right? So watching him not being part of family and just having him work overseas and just ship us money, like that
Mm-hmm.
does something to your brain, right? Like someone can't be with you because they have to work for money to support your living. So you
Got
start
it.
to understand like how important money is to like the function of life.
Got it. Got it. Got it. It's almost like this early experience with your father and the hardworking. It's kind of setting the foundation for how you view money in a different way, per se.
Yeah, it's probably like a not the healthiest way to view money, but that was the reality, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's like if we don't have money, you don't get anything done, and that's why your dad's not here.
Got it. Got it.
Right?
Got it.
So I'm sure that has again plays a certain role in how I think about money and its function and how I want sort of like my financial situation to look like as I get old, right?
Exactly. So, because now that you have two kids, probably I'm under the impression that this had such a strong impact on you that you don't want your kids to experience the same thing. You want to be there for them, and you know that money is one of the reasons, or how you could be there for them. Is that somewhat accurate?
Yeah, it's very paradoxical. Like, so a part of me want them to have, the part of me will, so my early experience ensures that I will never be apart from them
Mm-hmm.
because, my dad was apart from me and I remember how painful that was.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something that will never happen regardless of how little or how much money we have.
Got it.
So like, I can't see myself, you tell me, oh, well, you can go get $1 billion in Saudi Arabia. I'm not leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Like, unless I can bring my whole family and that's like a good decision for us, I'm not leaving my kids for no amount of money.
And that is I think also a big part of the Asian culture. You guys stick together a lot more, and everyone lives together. Because I know from Ukraine, it's a little bit like that as well. Obviously, less here, but
Yeah, I think we do a lot to support each other, even as in our old ages. Like, you don't see a lot of, I mean, you do actually see a lot of Asians in senior homes, but Asians are probably more prone to also bring their families into their home and continue to live with them into their old age. So I'm not sure you see that in every culture. And then the other paradoxical part that I was talking about earlier is that while I want my kids to understand how important money is, because you obviously can't do there are things you just can't do without it.
mm-hmm.
I don't want to be not present when I'm with them, constantly chasing money.
Got it.
So I don't want to be on my phone working as much as I can while I'm with them,
Mm-hmm.
because I want them to have a very precise understanding of money, and then a precise understanding of what it means to be like present with the people you love. So like it's very they kind of work against each other, Like I got to be very hardworking, but I got to make sure I have my boundaries.